Hello, I'm Tracy Ann Burgess and welcome to the Change Studio. Today is episode 3 in a series that I'm doing that helps women navigate change, specifically big life change or for women that want to bring more change into their lives. And today is all about how to protect yourself by setting up personal boundaries. So let's get into it. By the end of this video, you will learn what is a personal boundary and why are they essential for your self-protection, how you set your boundary, and who you set them for. I'm specifically addressing women in this video that are going through a really big life change and might have had their world like flipped on its head. Maybe they've lost something, maybe they've lost a relationship, or they've gone through divorce, or you've had a big life change and you're trying to navigate your way out of it, and you're feeling at this stage particularly vulnerable. And this is why personal boundaries at this stage of your life are so very important. So for this video, like with my first 2 episodes, we will be using the Passport Change Kit. So I created a Passport Change Kit to help women navigate a really big life change. You don't need to buy the kit. You just follow along with my YouTube videos. That's all you need to do. There are 14 cards that are included in the kit. This is the 3rd card and it's called Protection. The card of Protection is part of the First Aid 5. They're the first 5 cards in the kit. I call them the First Responder cards. They're the foundation cards of the kit. So they are change cards. Each card will equip you with a skill that you need to help you navigate change in your life. So I love this card. I absolutely love this card. As I was writing out this card, it took me 5 years to create this kit, by the way. It wasn't something I came up with overnight. And I use it all the time. But when I was creating and writing this card, it was such a powerful card. We're gonna have fun with it, don't worry, but it actually goes to a pretty deep place, this card, which is super useful. I really encourage you to do the practice with these cards. You know, theory is all well and fine. You know, you just like listen to me chat on, or you know, you read something, oh well, that's all very interesting, but it's actually only once you really practice it. So you get your journal out, you get your pen out, and you dig into your own memory and dig into your own thoughts, and that's where the real value is going to lie. So these cards are all about connecting in with yourself, about being conscious, and I think you're going to benefit enormously from doing this exercise. The first thing we're going to do is to kick off with your imagination. What I want you to do is imagine that you've poured all of your life savings into opening a club. Right, so here's my club. What sort of club would you create? What would be like the club of your dreams? If you opened a club, now I'm going somewhere with this, don't worry, I haven't gone mad, but if you opened a club, would it be a music club? And what sort of music would you have? I'm a bit of a garage punk kind of surf music kind of a gal. I might be the only one here that likes that stuff, I don't know. But you know, if you had a music club, would it be country? Would it be rock, pop, rap, house? What would it be? Write it down, just kind of let your imagination go wild and just think, what would your ultimate club be? And how would it look inside? What would all the decor look like? To me, I always think, what would the bathrooms look like? I've been to some great clubs of beautiful venues where the bathrooms are like really amazing. Some of them are really funky, some of them are really cool, some of them are really elegant, but you know, they can always be a surprise. What sort of lighting would you have? What kind of glassware? What sort of musical acts would you employ? And what sort of people would you like to have in your club? What kind of patrons would you like? What kind of values do you think that you would have, that you would share with those patrons? What kind of culture would you like to develop inside your club? What kind of rules of entry would you have into your club? So you're not just going to let anyone in, are you? I mean, let's just think, maybe your club's on a really busy strip, there's people going up and down at all times, day of the night, people in all states of party readiness. You don't want to just like let anyone in. You're going to want some codes of conduct. You're going to want some rules of entry. That's what your bouncers are for. I've got a couple of bouncers here at my club. I've got some music happening. I've got some revelers. These are lights in case you hadn't guessed. Anyway, I have fun with this stuff. But think about it. This is a really special place. You've pumped all your money into it. You really want to have kind of a shared culture with your patrons that really appreciate and respect the musical acts, your staff, all of the interior of your club, the furnishings. And you want to also be able to create a really safe and inclusive space for all of your patrons to come so that they can just really relax and have the time of their lives. So then you need to be in charge, you need to employ people to kind of protect your patrons so that they can really relax and enjoy themselves. So let's think about what some of those codes of conduct might be. So no aggressive behavior, no bullying, no offensive language, no sexual intimidation. They might just be a few codes of conduct that you would want your bouncers to enforce, wouldn't you? Now let's just take it one step further and think, what if you were the club? Who are you going to give access to into your world? So you've thought of all of these rules and regulations on who would you be letting in, who would you be keeping out of your fabulous club. Well, what about you? What about your world? Who you are? Who do you allow in and who do you keep out? Yeah, this is where the rubber hits the road, right? So here's the thing. If you were the club, what type of protection, what type of boundaries, what codes of conduct, rules of behavior are you putting up? What will you allow and what will you not allow? So now we're talking about drawing a line in the sand. Now we're talking about a personal boundary. This is about you being your own bouncer. So a boundary is really an invisible line where you decide where you're going to draw that line. It's like drawing a line in the sand. One side is acceptable behavior, the other side is unacceptable behavior, and you dictate exactly where that line in the sand is, and then you need to enforce it. You need to realize when someone is maybe intentionally or unintentionally coming crashing through that boundary, because some people really don't care about your boundaries. Some people in fact like to crash them, you know, they kind of excel at it. And then this is where your responsibility lies in protecting yourself, especially in moments of vulnerability, not even in moments of vulnerability, just any time in your life. Because really, some people who crash your boundaries, if you don't say, stop, that's unacceptable to me, they will keep coming and keep pushing. And if you keep pulling your boundary back and they keep pushing and you keep pulling it, you can find that they'll be right in your face. And then it's really hard for you to have reacting time, for you to be conscious of what's happening once they're already up there. You know, it's already a little bit late. So you've got to keep them back there. You know, firm but friendly is the way to go. Now, you may have some people in your life that do crash your personal boundaries, that actually they might even enjoy it, they might be unconscious of it, I don't know, but they have their own agenda and they are like they are because of their background or just because they choose to be, who knows. But for me, the first step always in anything like this is always just to be really conscious. Just get conscious about it. Try and step back from your own emotional response to it and just kind of almost like you're stepping out of your body and you just look at this situation. And that's how I get really objective. So I look at this person and I think, okay, this person is really invested in these types of behaviors for whatever reason. I'm not the only person that they behave in this way with. or maybe you are. That's an interesting one. That's a whole other video right there. But the idea is to get just conscious about it, not in this reactive mode, because then it just kicks up all of this kind of emotional dust and you've got to kind of deal with all that first. The idea is just get really conscious. So you may have someone around you that's either bullying, could be very controlling, could be really intrusive in so many different ways. So really, whatever bothers you, you know, that's where you write your rules down. You write down your rules of entry. What is really helpful is if you know you're going to be in this person's company, you just prepare yourself and you go, okay, I understand this person has this particular agenda. I understand this person has these sets of behaviors, these habits. They're ruled by whatever mindsets. That's not mine, that's theirs. So you chop that. That's their space and their stuff, and that's not mine. So you own your own stuff, you just let them own theirs. You just know what's their stuff to deal with and then what's yours. So if you find that they start with this type of behavior, then you're free to say, I feel really uncomfortable with that. I would prefer if we did this, or I would prefer if you spoke to me in this way. Sometimes there are some people like, oh good, I've really ruffled her feathers. So those sorts of people, it's like, you know, don't even bother, because they just don't care. So really the idea first is for you to protect yourself. So by being conscious, not being reactive, because when you get all reactive and emotional to whatever they're doing, you're vulnerable. You completely stepped away from your center. You've lost your core. You've stepped away from your core strength. So just to review things so far, let's remember how important it is to identify your personal boundaries and then be really conscious of other people's behavior around you so that you know when to set up your boundary, when to create that distance, when to really push back, or if you need to remove yourself, when to remove yourself. This is really essential for self-protection and for any type of external threat. So this is where it gets really interesting. This is our third and final dive. Where are we going to now? We're going to go to internal threats. This is an interesting thing. Now we're going to talk about yourself. How do you crash your own personal boundaries? All right, that's a really interesting thing to think about. How do you talk to yourself? How do you treat yourself? Do you demand a lot from yourself, or do you not demand enough from yourself? Do you have super high expectations of yourself that you just can't reach, or do you have really low expectations, which means you're not really striving for your potential? Is your inner critic under control, or is your inner critic running wild? You know what I mean by that inner critic. That little voice that goes into your head like, oh my God, you know, you've never been good at that, or don't try and do that, or you idiot, why did you do that for? So it's very important to kind of think about the relationship that you have with yourself. You might be really unconscious about it. You know, you might find that you're talking yourself down every day. You might find that your biggest saboteur in your life could be your own self-talk. So your own personal boundaries can be crashed through by you, and you can be really great at defending them for everybody else. You know, I'm doing a really great job, you know, and then your own personal boundaries or your own behavior then crashes through your own. And whilst no one else is kind of affecting you, you're finding that you're really kind of like driving yourself into the ground because you haven't thought about your own relationship with yourself, how you speak with yourself, how you treat yourself. Are you respectful? Are you kind? Do you give yourself a break? Are you too demanding? Do you expect the world? Do you not expect enough of yourself? That inner critic, is he your own worst enemy? Has that inner critic taken on some other voice, the voice of an adult or the voice of a teacher or the voice of that critical voice? And that can just really wear you down and really undermine your self-belief, your self-trust, your courage. You want to just be really conscious about that. You start to hear little snippets of yourself. You start to even just think about the tone and how you speak to yourself. It's so interesting. So I really hope you've got a lot out of this video. I love this card. It's such an important card for your self-protection, particularly at moments of vulnerability, but just habitually bringing it into your life. As soon as you feel yourself kind of triggered, then you think, right, what's happened? Someone, could be yourself, or someone else externally, has triggered your boundary. So, run and tend to that one. The more that you do it, the more that you don't get so triggered, because actually you can kind of start seeing it coming, and you can kind of push your boundaries out further and create a really good sort of safe space for yourself. And the more people see that you push back, the more people that experience you pushing back, they kind of get like a little bit of a zap from your kind of like own personal like electric fence that will keep them at bay. So they go, oh, well, I won't have a go at her again, because last time I did, she really put me back kind of in my place. So respect and appreciate yourself at all times. And the key takeaway from this is how you treat yourself dictates how other people treat you. So thank you for joining me. I had loads of fun doing this video. So if you like what I'm doing, please click the subscribe button and click the bell, so then you'll receive a notification when I release a new video. And please write in the comments any challenges that you have establishing a personal boundary, or how to handle maybe somebody who keeps coming and crashing through them. Next week, my card will be the number 4 card. That's the Mighty Now. That's a fantastic card as well. So I do hope you can join me. And I will be putting a link in the comments for my website, which is where you can buy the passport change kit. But I hope to see you next week. Goodbye. Thanks for now.